Stage 1. The volunteer. You're 22. You found the campaign office by accident. A flyer on a coffee shop bulletin board. A name you recognized from a Senate hearing you watched online at 2 a.m. because you couldn't sleep, and the hearing was about something that made you angry in the specific way that things make you angry when you care about them and feel helpless about them simultaneously. The office is a converted storefront in a strip mall between a nail salon and a tax preparation service. There are folding tables and laptops and a whiteboard covered in numbers and 12 people who look exactly like you. Young, slightly underslept, operating on conviction and bad coffee. Your job is phone banking. You call registered voters in the state from a list on a spreadsheet, and you read from a script, and most people hang up immediately, and some people are rude in ways that are creative, and a few actually listen. On your third shift, a woman in her 70s stays on the line for 8 minutes. She asks you why you believe in this candidate. You put down the script. You tell her in your own words. She listens. At the end, she says she'll think about it. 3 weeks later, at the first primary result watch party, someone reads out the county numbers, and that county is up 4 points from the last cycle, and you have no way of knowing if the woman is in that 4 points, but you choose to believe she is. You choose to believe your 8 minutes mattered. This belief is the fuel the whole operation runs on. Without it, none of the rest works. The campaign knows this. The campaign is very good at maintaining it. Stage 2. The field organizer. You're 24. You took a job. $32,000 a year. No benefits. 80-hour weeks. And the specific satisfaction of work that feels like it matters enough to justify the $32,000 and the 80 hours and the fact that you are living in a studio apartment in Iowa in February, which is a sentence that requires some ideological commitment to sustain. You manage a turf, a geographic area of roughly 40,000 registered voters that is your operational responsibility. You recruit volunteers. You train them. You run canvassing shifts. You track doors knocked and conversations had and voters identified and voters moved and voters committed. Everything is data. Every conversation becomes a number in a system that feeds into a model that the campaign's analytics team in headquarters uses to project outcomes and allocate resources. You are the bottom of the data pipeline. You are also the only person in the entire operation who actually speaks to voters face-to-face in their actual lives. This gives you information that the data doesn't capture. The woman in the White House on Elm Street who says she's committed, but whose body language says something else. The neighborhood where the yard signs stopped appearing 3 weeks ago, and nobody at headquarters has noticed. You file these observations in your reports. You don't know if anyone reads the qualitative section. You write it every week anyway. You are storing things you will use later. You don't know yet what later looks like. You just know it's coming. Stage 3. The advance team. You're 26. You arrive in a city 48 hours before the candidate does, and you make reality match the plan. The plan exists in a document that headquarters produces for every event. Venue layout, crowd capacity, arrival route, camera positions, the precise location where the candidate will stand so that the backdrop is the flag and the crowd, and not the fire exit or the catering table. You work with local staff, venue managers, police liaisons, Secret Service advance agents who have their own requirements that take absolute priority, and who communicate these requirements with the particular tone of people who are used to their requirements, taking absolute priority. You solve problems in real time. The Union Hall that confirmed a 1,000-person capacity turns out to hold 600 comfortably. You make the call to reconfigure. The local mayor wants to speak for 20 minutes. The schedule allows for 4. You manage this conversation with the kind of warmth that contains absolutely no flexibility. The candidate arrives. Everything looks effortless. The crowd is in the right place. The light is right. The flag is right. The candidate shakes hands and delivers the speech, and the cameras capture exactly what they were positioned to capture. Then the motorcade leaves, and you start breaking down, and in 40 minutes, the venue is empty, and you are on a plane to the next city to do it again. You have done this in 11 states in 8 weeks. You can no longer remember which hotel you woke up in this morning. This bothers you less than it probably should. Stage 4. The communications director. You're 33. Every word that comes out of the campaign comes through you. Speeches, press releases, debate prep talking points. The candidate's social media, which is written by a team of 3 and approved by you and posted under a name that belongs to one person and is authored by 4. You manage the press corps that travels with the campaign. 30 journalists who are simultaneously essential to the campaign's message and capable of destroying it. You give them access, calibrated precisely to what serves you. Background briefings that give them enough to write the story you want written. Embargoed information released at moments chosen to dominate the news cycle. Strategic leaks that appear to come from nowhere and come from you. You are the campaign's nervous system. Information flows in from every direction and flows out in the form you decide. You sleep 4 hours a night. You have not eaten a meal sitting down in 6 weeks. You have canceled 3 dinners with your sister, and she has stopped rescheduling. You tell yourself you will fix this after November. You have been telling yourself you will fix things after November for 3 campaigns. It is beginning to occur to you that there is always another November. You push the thought aside. There is a debate in 4 days, and the candidate has a tendency to go off script when challenged on the infrastructure plan, and you have 11 talking points to refine before morning. The sister problem can wait. Everything personal can wait. This is the deal you made. You make it again every morning when the alarm goes off at 4 a.m. and you reach for your phone before you are fully conscious. The phone is always already full. Stage 5. The pollster. You're 41. You deal in probability. Every week you survey likely voters across battleground states, and you convert their answers into numbers, and you convert the numbers into a picture of where the race stands, and you present this picture to the campaign's senior leadership in a conference room in headquarters, and you watch their faces while you do it. The faces tell you things the polls don't. Who is managing up? Who is in denial? Who has already started thinking about the next cycle? Your current numbers show the candidate at +3 in Pennsylvania, -1 in Wisconsin, +2 in Michigan. These numbers contain multitudes. +3 in Pennsylvania means +3 on this Tuesday, with this sample with these likely voter screens applied, which means it could be +1 or +5 on election day, depending on turnout models that are themselves dependent on assumptions that are educated guesses dressed in statistical clothing. You know this. Your job requires you to present the numbers with confidence while privately maintaining the epistemic humility of someone who has been wrong before, in public, and knows exactly what that costs. You were wrong in 2016. You were wrong in a way that everyone remembers and that you think about every day of every campaign since. Not with shame exactly. With the specific alertness of someone who has learned that the map is not the territory, and that voters are not data points, and that the moment you forget, this is the moment the number that matters most surprises you in the worst possible way. Stage 6. The campaign manager. You're 38. You run it. All of it. The budget, the strategy, the staff, the candidate, especially the candidate. Managing a presidential candidate is the most complex personnel challenge in the world because you are managing a person who is simultaneously your boss, your product, your greatest asset, and your most unpredictable variable. The candidate has opinions about the campaign. strong ones. Sometimes correct ones. Sometimes the opinions of a person who has spent 30 years in politics and has developed instincts that are occasionally brilliant and occasionally 30 years out of date. Your job is to know which is which in real time and to act accordingly. You have a campaign budget of $800 million. You make decisions every day about where it goes. Television in Arizona or digital in Georgia. More staff in Wisconsin or more advertising in Pennsylvania. Every decision is a bet placed with other people's donated money on a model of human behavior that is fundamentally unpredictable. You make the bets anyway, decisively, because a campaign that hesitates loses ground it cannot recover, and because the staff needs to see someone who is certain even when certainty is a performance. You are frequently performing certainty. This is not dishonesty. It is leadership. The distinction matters to you. You hold on to it on the bad days, when the internal numbers are soft, and the press is difficult, and the candidate went off script in a way that cost you 3 days of clean messaging. You hold on to it because the alternative is visible doubt, and visible doubt in a campaign headquarters is a virus. You cannot afford the virus. You manage the candidate. You manage the message. You manage the doubt. You keep it moving. Stage 7. The debate. 90 minutes. No notes. 90 million people watching. The debate prep has been running for 3 weeks. A room in a hotel suite with a replica stage and a stand-in for the opponent who has studied the opponent's mannerisms, cadence, and attack lines, with the thoroughness of an actor preparing a career-defining role. The candidate has done this before, has stood on stages and answered questions under pressure, and performed at the level the moment required. Tonight is different. Tonight is the largest audience of the campaign. Tonight, a moment can define a race. One answer. One expression caught by one camera at one angle. One sentence that is either brilliant or devastating, and sometimes both. You are backstage. You cannot help now. Everything you could do has been done. The preparation is in the candidate's hands, and the candidate's hands are the only hands that matter for the next 90 minutes. You watch on a monitor. You have a legal pad. You take notes that nobody will read because by the time the debate ends, you will have already been on the phone for 45 minutes with the communications director about the spin, and the spin will already be written and out before the candidates shake hands at the end. The candidate lands the line you practiced 17 times, the line that reframes the opponent's strongest attack into an argument for your candidate's position. The room backstage exhales. You write nothing on the legal pad. You just watch. For 30 seconds, you allow yourself to just watch and feel something that isn't strategy. Then your phone rings. You answer. You are back. Stage 8. The candidate. You're 57. You have wanted this your entire adult life, and you have spent your entire adult life building toward it. And now you are inside it, and it is nothing like the wanting. The wanting was clean. This is not clean. Every day you wake at 5 a.m. and you read 4 newspapers and 2 intelligence briefings prepared by a former NSC staffer your campaign hired, and 12 pages of scheduling documents and 40 pages of briefing materials for the day's events. You eat breakfast standing up. You are in a motorcade by 6:30. You shake hands from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. with 45 minutes subtracted for meals you eat in cars and green rooms, and once memorably in a broom closet in a convention center in Phoenix because it was the only private space available, and you had 4 minutes. You have not been alone, truly alone, in 11 weeks. There is always a body person and a scheduler and a protection detail and a communications aide and a policy director, and they are all there because they need to be there, and their presence is a form of care. And it is also the most sustained loss of solitude you have ever experienced. You think about solitude the way people think about foods they loved as children, with a specific nostalgic longing for something simple. You call your spouse every night at 10 p.m. The calls last 15 minutes. They contain a conversation between the person you are publicly and the person you are privately, and the translation between those two people happens in real time and costs something you don't have a name for yet. You are going to win. The numbers say you are going to win. You have decided to believe the numbers. You have decided that what comes after winning is a problem for the version of you that exists on the other side of November. That version feels very far away. You shake another hand. You smile. The cameras capture the smile. The smile is real. It is also constructed. You stopped being able to tell the difference around week 7. You have decided this is fine. Stage 9. Election night. The ballroom is full. 1,200 people who have worked for this or donated to this or simply believed in this are standing under lights with drinks in their hands waiting for numbers. You are in a suite upstairs with the senior staff and a bank of screens showing results by county as they come in. The first states close at 7 p.m. Safe states. They go as expected. Then the competitive states begin reporting. Florida first. The Florida counties come in piece by piece, and the picture assembles slowly the way a photograph develops, emerging from ambiguity into something definite. Florida goes to you by 1 point. The room upstairs makes a sound. Then Pennsylvania. Then Wisconsin. Then 11:23 p.m., the networks call it. The room makes a different sound, a sound that contains everything. The years, the work, the doubt, the 4 a.m. alarms, the canceled dinners, the bad polls, the good ones, the debate, the bus, the broom closet in Phoenix. All of it in one sound, made by people who gave something real to arrive at this moment. You go downstairs. The ballroom sees you before you reach the stage. The noise is physical. You stand at the podium. The lights are very bright. The faces below you go back further than you can see. You have a speech. You have given the speech 50 times in your head. You open your mouth. Something else comes out. Not the speech. Something true. Something you didn't prepare. It lasts 7 minutes, and when it is done, the room is different from how it was, and you are different from how you were. And outside this ballroom, the country is different too, even though most of it is asleep. You said something true to the people who needed to hear it. On the best days, that is what this was always about. Stage 10. The morning after. You're 57. You won. The Secret Service detail that has been with you for 14 months doubled overnight. The motorcade changed. The access changed. The way people look at you in the room changed in a way that will never change back. Your campaign manager calls at 7 a.m. She sounds like a person who slept for the first time in months. You thank her. You mean it in a way that the words don't fully carry. The transition begins today. 117 days between now and the inauguration. 117 days to build a government. Cabinet secretaries, senior staff, agency heads, the largest personnel operation in the democratic world. The people who got you here are not always the people who can do what comes next. Some of them know this. Some of them don't. This conversation, conducted across 100 different relationships over the next 4 months, will be the hardest thing about the transition. Harder than the policy. Harder than the briefings. The foreign leaders calling. The intelligence community briefing. The sitting president receiving you for the formal handover meeting in the Oval Office, where you sit across from a man who did not want you to win, and who smiles with professional completeness and wishes you well with words that cost him something he pays without showing. You fly back on a plane that is not yet Air Force One, but that carries the weight of what it is about to become. Below you, The country is ordinary and enormous and full of people who voted for you, and people who didn't, and people who didn't vote at all. All of them yours now, whether they wanted to be or not. Whether you wanted them to be or not. The wanting is over. This is the part that comes after the wanting. This is the part nobody campaigns for. This is the actual job.